7 wins, man. 7 wins. What you think?
Feeling good, man. I can't believe it's seven in a row. We haven't lost a game since we last recorded.
It's wild to think, man. Hopefully we can keep this momentum going. It's exciting to watch, but we'll go into some of those games here shortly. Buzzpound, thank you for joining for season two, episode 14. Ian, you ready to get it going?
I'm ready, man.
All right, let's do it.
Touchdown, Carolina! You're listening to the Buzz Pound.
Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime.
A Queen City sports podcast covering your Charlotte Hornets and Carolina Panthers.
Halliburton, nowhere to go! LaMelo's done it! LaMelo's done it! Hornets win! Here comes LaMelo. And we're tied!
Here are your hosts, Ian Blair and Cam Gardner.
Buzzbound, thank you for joining us for season two, episode 14. Today we'll be going over just the Hornets this week. Not much Panther news or rumor mill, so we'll go into the exciting part of Charlotte right now. Ian, man, 7 wins, bro. It's almost like a fever dream. You almost got to pinch yourself to see if it's reality or not.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I mean, team's playing well right now. It's definitely bringing excitement to the city, I'm sure. I've actually tuned in to definitely the game on Saturday, I believe, against the Spurs. It was on Amazon Prime, so I was able to watch that one. I kind of was keeping tabs on the score against the Pelicans. We were down there for a second. I was worried, but we were able to rally. I'm really disappointed that we're still out of the play-in as of right now, but we just got to keep winning games. And at some point we're going to lose that. We're not going to have I wouldn't imagine we have a 10 plus game winning streak, but we just got to you know, win four or five and then lose a couple, win four or five, lose a couple, kind of keep it consistent in order to get back into the play and run. And hopefully we can make some moves at the trade deadline too.
Yeah, that's another thing coming up on Thursday at 2 p.m. or no, 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central. So that'll be an interesting, time to see. It always is. All the Twitter notifications. And, last year was an interesting one. The Mark Williams, Dalton Connect that got flipped, which was weird. I'm still got my questions about that one, but hard to believe that was pretty much a year ago now. So
Yeah, yeah.
curious to see what we do there. But I'm going to go into a little bit of the past few games since we last recorded. So first game was against the Mavericks, January 29th. Man, was that a battle of the roommates. Nipple, Cooper Flag went toe to toe against each other. Ultimately, Cooper Flag had the better game, but for us, ultimately, the Hornets got the dub. Uh, Nipple, 34 points, 8 of 12 from the 3-point line. Insane. And hit clutch free throws to secure the win. And I got to highlight the other competitor for Rookie of the Year, Cooper Flag, 49 points, 10 rebounds, and 20 of 29 field goals. And he actually set an NBA record for a team because he's still only 19, which is wild to think about sometimes. But man, was that an exciting game. Did you get to watch any of that one?
No, I wasn't able to watch that. I'm only able to watch the Hornets whenever they're on Prime or ESPN or anything like that. I don't think that game um, was on either of those, and I might have been asleep honestly before the end of the game, just because I wasn't able to watch it. But I did look at the stats. Man, if Cooper Flag had a little bit of help around him, I think they would have been able to take it over us. But luckily he didn't. Obviously Concanipple played very well, and I saw some clips from the game. Obviously, he had that really good steal to kind of seal it. And ultimately, Cooper Flag fouled him, and he was able to knock down both of those free throws, which really won us the game. But exciting game, man. I'm sad I missed it just because seemed like it was really high scoring back and forth. And obviously Cooper Flag scored 49 and Khan had that amazing game. But yeah, just really good win for the team. And it's kind of one of those wins that we don't see very often from this squad until recently, this 7 game stretch where we've really seen really good basketball all across the board throughout this 7 game win streak, which I'm really impressed with. It's kind of what we've been expecting for, you know, forever now, feels like, but really pleased. But yeah, I wasn't able, the only one I've been able to watch recently was the Spurs game.
Gotcha. Well, that was still an entertaining one too. That was on Amazon Prime, like you said. So that Mavericks game was actually only League Pass. So unless you had or paid for League Pass, that was the only way to watch it. And as exciting as that game was, it should have been televised, honestly. That was cinema, honestly. It makes me excited for, the future. These are two rookies in the league already playing lights out. So hopefully they can keep that up and build onto that and they could be something special. And, for our sake, Khan can continue to maybe be the face of the franchise at some point, the way he's going, because he is a sniper and he is lethal in all forms possible. So on to the next game, January 31st versus the Spurs. We won that game. Um, just some standout scores. Brandon Miller, 26 points. Colin Sexton, 21. LaMelo Ball, 16. And Brandon Miller scoring 16 in the second quarter alone, proving, he's really the alpha of this current run, man. I mean, you can't deny it. He's just on a different tear and stretch right now. It makes me so happy because at one point last season, he really, well, no, not last season, early this season, he hit a cold stretch after returning from his injury that shortened his season last year. But beyond happy to see it. Wimby, we already know what he is. He's an alien, literally. It's like he was made in a lab somewhere, but fun player to watch. But just to see our guys be able to compete against that young, talented team that many see at some point in the future potentially paving their way to the finals. It was fun to see us competing against that because we know what they are as far as being a young, talented team. But when we got to piece together, I feel like we can go up against those kind of guys.
Yeah, I agree. And we were able really to neutralize Wimby for the most part. And I was really pleased with that. I was kind of worried, as much as Hornets fans and pretty much everybody that likes the NBA loves Musa Diabate, but he was really able to kind of hold it together overall and really competed well against Wemby, which I was pleasantly surprised because he has the size. Wemby has the size advantage. I mean, Wemby pretty much has the size advantage against anybody he plays against in the NBA. But I was very happy to see us kind of neutralize him because he could take over a game and really be dangerous. And yeah, Brandon Miller had a great game as well. There was a stretch during the second quarter where I think he made like two or three threes in a row. Kind of had a heat check and missed that three, but he played really well. And ultimately, was a big reason why we were able to get the W. And, glad to see that he's kind of gotten through his cold spell that he had early in the year. And, maybe that was just him coming back off an injury and, getting back into the swing of things because he didn't play for the majority of the year last year. But very good to see him ultimately play well. And, really the rest of the squad. And we've also been playing really well on defense and putting some defensive possessions together that we haven't been doing early in the year and ultimately pretty much for the last 2 years. I kind of harped on this defense, but the defense has been playing really well, especially through the 7 game stretch, which I've been pleasantly surprised with.
Me too. Not sure what's gotten into these guys, but whatever it is, I hope they keep it going. And hopefully we can get our way at least into the play-in. I mean, we're at the 11th spot. All you need to be is at the 10. So hopefully we can get there. I think at the 10 is the Atlanta Hawks, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So hopefully at some point, if we can keep this going, we can at least force our way in there somehow because it's a little overdue. We got to the play in 2 years in a row, but ultimately those did not work out in our favor. Hopefully third time will be the charm if we can get there this year, especially with it being an open East. Not saying we would go to the finals or anything, but just want to see us in the playoffs, man. That's all I want.
Yeah, I agree. And I've been checking pretty much every win throughout this past 7 games to kind of check the standings after every game whenever the ESPN app updates it. And I know the Bulls are kind of in that spot too, right with the Hawks, but we just got to keep chipping away, man. It was really disappointing that we were that far down, that we've made progress, but we're still, even though this 7 game win streak, we're still, if the season ended today, we would not be in the playoffs or the play-in. So it just goes to show the kind of the cold streak we went on to begin the season. But it's really nice that we're heating up, and we just got to put together, stretches where we win more games than we lose. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, but it's something this team struggled with the past couple of years. But the 7 game win streak is huge for the team, and really big for the city. It's bringing a lot of excitement to Charlotte and a lot of eyes to the Hornets that haven't been on them previously.
For certain. And that snow in Charlotte on Saturday did not stop those people going to that game. So no matter the weather, as long as these guys are winning ball, hopefully we can continue to make some notice around the league because people are talking about us. I love it. It's good to hear the Hornets name or just Charlotte in general being spoken of because it's very rare you hear, a lot of notable people on TV that we watch or whether it's, radio personalities who cover sports talking about them. So I'm just happy to hear some sort of relevance in our name. But like you said, it's a little disappointing that we're still in that 11th spot. But if we can just keep this momentum going, we can continue to push. Now, on to the last game, which was on yesterday, February 2nd, versus the Pelicans. 22-point comeback. Like yourself, I got a little concerned there for a moment, but I knew that was a team we could beat. And if we got it right, which we did, we could ultimately win. But I did get nervous there. I'm sure you either saw the highlight or saw it live. Coach Lee and LaMelo Ball, they came in contact pretty bad. They both ran into each other and bumped heads, and LaMelo was down on the ground for a moment. In that moment, I literally was thinking to myself, it was too good to be true. But he ended up coming back out, and ultimately the boys were able to secure a win. Like I said, a 22-point comeback, some standout scores, LaMelo Ball, 24 points, Knipple, 17 points, and Grant Williams, 16 points. And, that moment of that game for me was that fourth quarter poster dunk that I think really put the league on notice by LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the game overall, I wasn't able to watch any of it, but I was looking at I think I looked down at my phone and I saw the score and I was like, what is happening? I was like, this is the same old Hornets that couldn't beat the Pacers, who were the worst team in the NBA, got swept by the Pacers. So, I was glad that we were able to put together that comeback. We got off to a slow start, I'm assuming, and was finally able to put it together and kind of get some runs throughout the game and chip away at that 22 point lead and ultimately get the win against a bad Pelicans team, in my opinion. They've kind of been down on their luck. Zion's barely ever healthy anymore, which kind of was the big question mark for him going into his career in the NBA. He was such a good prospect, but everybody's worried about his health and if he could, sustain his dominance. But glad to get the win. And ultimately capped off this 7 game win streak at the time we're recording this podcast. Obviously, there'll be more games by the time this is out, but hopefully we're on a longer game win streak. I think we got a couple more games before this pod releases. So um, hopefully we keep it going, man. It's definitely great to see. I mean, just this team's surprising me right now, especially with how we started off. I kind of expected us just continue the way we were going and not really turn around, but because that's how it's been the past couple of years. We've just not been able to put it together, but we're finally starting to put it together a little bit, which is huge.
Absolutely. And not trying to jinx nothing, but I'm going to share some of our upcoming games. Our next game is on Thursday, February 5th, which is the same day as the deadline, actually. But back to some competition. We will be facing the Houston Rockets. They got good old Kevin Durant over there and some young talent. But if we can keep this momentum, I think we can compete with those guys. We play them uh, February 5th, which is Thursday, and we also play them again February 19th. After that, on Saturday, we play the Atlanta Hawks, and then we have next Monday the Detroit Pistons. So I feel like those are a few more, harder games than some of the games we had, previously, but who's to say we can't compete? As long as they can keep what they have going, I think we can really compete with anybody at this point.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Definitely excited. I was going to go to the game on Saturday because obviously they're playing in Atlanta, but I will be in Birmingham on Saturday, so won't make the game. To be fair, I am 0-2 in Hornets and Hawks games in Atlanta, so We'll kind of see. Hopefully we can get the win on Saturday, and maybe that's kind of the deciding factor. Maybe I need to stay away from the Hornets in Atlanta. Um, but hopefully, the Rockets is going to be a challenge. I know the Rockets is definitely going to be a challenging game, and then obviously Saturday night against the Hawks should be winnable, and those are the games you got to win if you want to make progress in the play-in. Because if you beat a team like the Hawks, you're instead of jumping half a spot, you're jumping a full spot. So yeah, a big stretch we got coming up, and I would expect us to at least, I don't think we're going to be perfect. We're going to drop a game at some point. It's just the way the NBA works. But this team being on a 7 game win streak is just so remarkable, really. I believe you texted me earlier this week when it went to 7 games is the last longest winning streak since 2016, I believe, with Kemba Walker.
Yep.
So that's just and there's plenty of the NBA season is a long season. Usually you go on win streaks. 7 games is not unheard of in the NBA. It's not I wouldn't say it's extremely rare, but just the fact that it's been since 2016 since we've won 7 consecutive games. I mean, I'm happy. It's good. I'm glad this team's having success, and I think this team is significantly better than the team in 2016 just because we have more pieces. And as good as Kemba was, obviously we needed more than just Kemba, and those teams really just had Kemba. Um, so we have kind of a couple of really good players that could hurt you on this team. I think whether it's Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges has been playing well, and we got some guys off the bench. Grant Williams with 16 points last game.
Colin.
Yeah, Colin Sexton, you know, had a really good, I believe it was Saturday. Colin Sexton had a really good game too. Um, but yeah, we definitely got some good players that can hurt you all over the floor.
Yeah, Colin Sexton had 21 off the bench, so
Yeah.
he's showing his worth right now. That was on Saturday against the Spurs, so showing his worth. We'll just have to see what. I'm very curious between now because we got 2 days now of what we potentially may do with the deadline coming up, 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central. There are a few little rumor floats out there. Potential family reunion. Apparently, there's been conversations about Lonzo Ball. That's always been a rumor. The brothers always talked about wanting to play together. Lonzo himself said before he went to Cleveland, he thought it was going to happen this past summer, but he ended up in Cleveland, and clearly that hasn't worked. He's coming off the bench, and they're in their rotation. He is not playing much, and he's not contributing in their lineup. So he's sure both parties are looking to part ways with that situation. So you think that would be worth the doing, or maybe for like a trade man or something, since he's barely playing for us?
Yeah. I mean, I would hate to give up Trey Mann just because I have bias towards him and he's a young player still. I mean, he's still young. But I would like to add Lonzo Ball to the team just because I think it'd be, regardless of how he's contributing, I think two brothers playing together would just be cool. I think it'd be good vibes for both brothers. I think you would get the best out of Lonzo and LaMelo because the last time they played together really was in high school, and they talked about that was the best time they played together. So you bring them to NBA together, they both can definitely contribute. Obviously, LaMelo is a significantly better player in my opinion, but you could get some minutes out of Lonzo, and he's a good defender. It'd be a good piece to add, and I think it would be a really good vibe for the team. I mean, they have obviously great chemistry together just because they've grown up together and played together. And I couldn't imagine LaMelo throwing an alley-oop to Lonzo or, them hitting each other on assists. It would be really cool. It'd be really fun to watch. And it would give fans another reason to come to games, buy tickets, and ultimately watch the games on TV is to see the two brothers play together.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it earlier, Lonzo Ball, he has solid defense, and we could use that, honestly. Defense, they always say defense wins games, but we definitely could use some more defense. I mean, Lonzo, he may not be a score first guy. He's a great playmaker. He knows how to read the court, whether he's on the other, the complete other half and can just toss it all the way to someone running down to the rim. He just has a good IQ. So I think it could be a good addition if it happens. We'll see what happens there. I feel like we can fit him in. Obviously, we would have to kick rocks with something. And I know Man did have an extinction. I think that was over this past summer or so. But, I think if I'm not mistaken, Lonzo Ball's contract is like a $10 million contract over there in Cleveland. I think that's something we could pick up if we even do it. Another rumor, which actually happened this evening, you may have seen it, you may not have, but according to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, he dropped Charlotte as a horse, surprising name for the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. I don't know the reality of that actually happening, but what are your thoughts on that one?
I did not see that. I would jump for joy and probably streak outside if we traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo because that's not even on my radar. I think he's going to go to a big market team. I couldn't imagine this team with Giannis. If you put Giannis on this team, I think we're immediately um going to go deep in the playoffs. Because he's just that kind of player. I mean, whoever gets Giannis, and he's one of the best five players, arguably top three player in the NBA, and former MVP. He's won a finals. Um, yeah, I didn't see that. I would be very, very surprised, and I would definitely jump for joy, to say the least, if we traded for Giannis, because I mean, just imagine that, really, as Hornets fans, that would be incredible. And we've never had a player the caliber of Giannis in the history of this team. I mean, I love Kemba. The Hornets fans love Kemba. Never speak a bad word about Kemba, but Giannis is a significantly better player than Kemba Walker. Um,
He's a champion too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a former MVP. I mean, he's just a great player. I mean, one of the best. He was up there with the best for 5, 6 years. So I think that would be huge to say the least. What do you think?
Like I said, I don't know the reality of that. I'm like you. I would go outside and hit 10 backflips in a row if it happened.
Yeah,
But it's just one of those things I would not get my hopes up for. But with the trade deadlines nowadays, you just never know what to expect because the whole world did not expect the Luka Anthony Davis trade last year. I know that wouldn't even be the same in any way possible, but anything can clearly happen. It's just a business at the end of the day. There's been other names like Miami connected to Giannis, Knicks, but another thing would be how much we would have to give up a lot.
yeah,
I do know we have maybe about 7 first round picks over the next 4 years or so. I believe that's right, but we would pretty much have to kick away all of those just to get him
yeah,
and like two other players or so just to even get him on our roster. But man, that would be something. But I am not anywhere near getting myself amped up for that by any means.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when I saw that come across earlier, I just literally looked at my phone like, really? Like
yeah.
it wasn't even like I got excited. I just was very confused, but we'll have to see. You never know. But
Yeah, I mean, I would give that like honestly like a 5% chance or less of happening because I mean, as you mentioned, think about what we'd have to give up. I mean, it's looking like we would. I mean, the least they would take is Miles Bridges plus Colin Sexton plus 3 first round picks or more, and that's at minimum. I mean, even if they want Miles Bridges, because I would assume if hypothetically if we did trade for him, he would take that Miles Bridges kind of spot. Uh, um, and it would take a lot, man, just running through my head. You wouldn't want to give a LaMelo, because the team's playing so well. I don't think this team's really in the selling spot right now. So, yeah, man, I just even thinking about it's hurting my brain because we would lose a lot. I mean, probably some good bench pieces. Like I said, Miles Bridges, I would at least Colin Sexton, some picks, probably some more. There's probably another player that I'm not, um, thinking of, but it would definitely be some pieces.
for sure. And just again, already knowing some of the team names that is connected to his name. Like I said, the Heat got the Warriors, they got Steph. The Heat, I don't know if they would give up Tyler Hero or not, but they got him and Bam. I mean, they got something that at least Giannis will be able to work with.
Hmm.
But I, you said a 5%. I will give that a 2.5% personally. I'm gonna go less than that of that even happening. But regardless, I don't see the possibility of it. But the fact that that's even out there is just insane to me. But on to some of the other rumors here. We're also, I guess, in search of a center. We don't necessarily have a true center per se, but we got, we're making it happen without that true center right now. I mean, the chemistry right now is working the way it should, but some names. Not sure if I'm pronouncing his first name right, but Demontis Sabonis for the Kings. More than likely, he's on the move this year. And when he's healthy, he can be a special big man. Um, I'm thinking if we did go for someone like him, someone such as a Colin Sexton or even Josh Green will probably get thrown into that, something like that, hypothetically speaking and thinking. Um, Nick Claxton for the Nets, names like that. Um,
Miles Turner.
Miles Turner, that's another one. And he can shoot. I feel
Yeah.
like if he's one I wouldn't be upset about at all because he's already, you know, he spent well, actually all of his career, majority with the Pacers, and we knew what he was there, and people were wanting him to get out of there for a long time because of the talent he had. But he was very loyal for a long time. But loyalty can only go but so far, I guess, when you're not winning, well, the team's not winning, even if you're playing well. Um, Daniel Grafford for the Mavericks, he's another one. Big guy, elite rim protection, I think I would say. Um, so just names like that. I don't know if you have a preference in big man, or if we should focus on getting a true center right now, or just keep what we have.
Yeah, I would like to get, I mean, I love Moose. He's been playing great. I think, just to give a actual center, like a bigger guy, because Moose is only 6'9", 6'8", I believe. Um, you know, I would like I would like to go after, my perfect trade deadline in Ian's mind would be get a center like Nick Claxton or Miles Turner. I think Domantas Sabonis it would cost a little bit too much because he's a better player in my opinion than Miles Turner and Nick Claxton. But I would like to go after like one of those centers and bring Lonzo to Charlotte. I think that would just for the vibes. I mean, just for the vibes, and I would try to actively tune in every single game to see those guys play just because that would be so entertaining. I couldn't, it'd be really fun to watch Lonzo and LaMelo play. I remember the clips in high school of them playing together of LaMelo Ball cherry picking at half court and scoring like 100 points that one game. That was hilarious. I think I was still in high school because me and LaMelo Ball are actually around the same age. So yeah, I definitely was in high school watching those clips. But yeah, that would be my perfect trade deadline is go after a big man, like a Claxton or Turner and get Lonzo, bring him to Charlotte because I don't think the asking price for either of those moves is too large. We're not selling the farm for either of those players, in my opinion. Now I could be wrong, but I don't think the asking price would be too large for those. What's your perfect trade deadline?
Like yourself, big man for sure, center. I love Moose, don't get me wrong, but like you say, he's 6'9". That's for a center. That's technically small, if you will. But I mean, he's getting it done. But I feel like he's that player. He's young, he's still growing, but he can only get better and better over time. But I think he'll still be good to have in our organization.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. But um, I feel like Nick Claxton would be a good fit, especially for what Charles Lee's defense style is for his rotation. I feel like he'd be a fit. That if Cam were to make that move, that's the route I would go. But I feel like you can't go wrong with any of those guys. Miles Turner as well, Daniel Gafford, but I would go Claxton personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I'm not too familiar with Daniel Gafford. I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with his game, as they say. But I have watched. I'm very familiar with Miles Turner and Nick Claxton. Actually, whenever I play NBA 2K, I like to trade for Nick Claxton because his trade value in NBA 2K is not very high for some reason, but he's a good player. So, um,
Well, he is playing for the Nets, so that might have to be a factor there.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not I put my GM cap on NBA 2K and I'm really saucing up the trades. So on the trade finder, that's pretty fun actually to play. Go on NBA 2K and just find some trades on the trade finder. It's pretty fun. But yeah, kind of got off topic there, but yeah, I agree with you. Claxton would be a good option and Miles Turner would be as well. I mean, he's a big man that could shoot threes. So,
And that's rare. I mean,
yeah.
the only other big men that were really notable was Dirk with the Mavs.
Mhm.
Not many, Karl Anthony Towns, he wants to go down as that, but he's not as consistent as those other guys. So,
Mhm.
anyway, and one more. This isn't necessarily a trade topic, but I think at this point he's kind of with the stay put. Miles Bridges, although he had teams like the Warriors and the Suns interested, I think the organization is looking at keeping him put for the time being just because of the chemistry right now. I mean, he's been playing well too. And that doesn't surprise me too much. He's a factor in our wins right now. Still questionable for me some of his shot attempts from the three, but other than that, he's part of the success right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be upset, going into this, if it was we were on a 7 game losing streak opposed to a 7 game win streak, I would be thinking sell everybody on the team, trade everybody because we wouldn't be in a spot. But we're right where we want to be. We're in a buying spot. I think that should be on the trade deadline we talked about earlier in the year. We're hovering right around that play-in spot, and this is the time where Charlotte's never really bought at the trade deadline, I feel like, or made significant moves. And this is the time where we could maybe not make that significant move, but definitely make moves to make the team obviously better. Um, whether it's a center or Lonzo Ball or another piece, I think this is our time to get better at the trade deadline instead of giving away our valuable assets. And I would be okay with trading, if the team wanted to make a bigger trade, I would be okay with trading a couple first rounders. I mean, you think about it, the past you know 3 years at least, we've been drafting high in the first round, and I don't think we shouldn't be in that spot this year. We drafted Khan, we drafted Brandon Miller, uh, drafted LaMelo obviously a couple years ago. Mark Williams was a high draft pick. Well, actually, first it was uh, Mark Williams, Duran, Dur.
Yeah, we sent him to the or he got sent to the Pistons. I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. For the center out of Memphis. Blanking on his name, I don't know why. But yeah, we ended up getting Mark Williams, who was injury prone, and we couldn't trade him at the trade deadline, which is a whole mess. So hopefully we don't have a trade deadline like last year's. I'd like to not have any reverse trades this year, but I think we could definitely buy and get some valuable pieces that would help us in a long playoff or hopefully a playoff run. I don't want to say long playoff run because, gosh, I just want to win a playoff game at this point or a play-in game. I'd be happy. I would be so happy to win a play-in game.
I just want an appearance in the
Yeah,
playoffs, not
yeah.
just the play in. We got to the playoff, I mean, the play in 2 years in a row, and we thought we could get a playoff appearance, but we didn't even get that. So, like I said, hopefully third time could be the charm if we could get there this year. It's still open. We got so much opportunity to get there, but we'll see what we do. Trade deadline coming up Thursday, 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central. My notifications will be on because I like to just keep up with the league overall. You got other names like James Harden. He wants out of LA. Rumors are potentially him and a Darius Garland swap between the Clippers and Cleveland. And, John Morant, see what happens with him. Giannis, that's like the number one right now. What may happen to him? And the fact our name is in there, I'm a little more intrigued, but not getting my hopes up. So it'll be an interesting next 2 days, man.
Yeah, for sure. And it's already starting to move around. I mean, there have been some moves today, so I can only imagine it'll heat up a little bit Wednesday. At the time we're recording this podcast, obviously Tuesday night. So Wednesday, I'm sure it'll heat up, and then Thursday, obviously the deadline. That's usually the busiest day overall, which is the move. So I'm excited for it. Really, really happy about this Hornets team, man. It's I'm not the biggest basketball fan in the world, but I love the Hornets. They've always been my team, obviously growing up in Charlotte, and they're the whole reason I like the NBA at all. And they've always been my team, and they've always been so bad, but it's so nice to finally, for them to go on this winning streak because it just gets me back into it. And makes me want to buy a hat here, a t-shirt there, add to my Hornets collection because for so long it's just been like we're the laughing stock of the NBA. But this team's playing so fun right now. They're just playing good. They're the chemistry is really good right now. Like you could see these guys just want to play with one another, and it's fun to watch. And that's all you could ask for as Hornets fans right now.
That is it. That is all. Well, by the time this episode comes out, obviously the deadline will come and gone, and whatever adjustments or moves were made will have happened. But we'll discuss that next week, and I'll kick it off to Ian.
Yeah, well, Buzzpound, we appreciate you guys always for joining us. Please leave a like if you're listening on Spotify. Leave a like, follow our podcast. Comment any kind of engagement you can do helps us out significantly. Comment and like the video if you're on YouTube as well. As always, you can follow us on both X and Instagram at Buzzpound Pod, and you can find our podcast on both Spotify and YouTube.
And as always, we are the Buzz Pound. Keep pounding and keep the high mentality.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Buzz Pound. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let us know what you thought of this episode. Until next time, this is the Buzz Pound.